So this is your testimony of faith, just as a more of a ceremonial, because you already believe, right?
Absolutely.
You already have believed, and to you, what is Islam? What is the beliefs of Islam? Like, what do you believe?
It's kind of hard to just pinpoint one thing. I think it's about living life right and doing what's good and taking care of one another and just living your life like right.
Yeah. And then in terms of the beliefs, we believe in one God, and you accept that.
Absolutely.
You believe in Muhammad, peace be upon him, as the messenger of God, as being the messenger of God, the Rasul.
Yes.
Yes. You believe in the books that God has sent, and ending with the Quran being the book of God, and belief in the angels, and then belief in the last day. And you said this was something that you embraced between April and May.
Yes.
So for me, looking at at this, at your journey, your spiritual journey, you embraced faith back in April or May when you finally said, yes, this is what I believe. And so this Shahadah is your announcing that to the community. So I don't want you to feel that you became Muslim today. You became Muslim that moment where that faith entered your heart and you said, yes, this is what I believe. Because it's a relationship between you and God, and you don't need it affirmed by any other human being. You don't need a special, your faith can't be given or taken away by somebody else. This was your relationship between you and God. But the Shahada, the specific announcement, can be done by anyone. And I'm actually going to ask Haj Sajjad, a good friend of mine, to walk you through the process.
Thank you.
Yes, brother. Assalamu alaikum. Basically, it's just the declaration, two declarations. One, declare that there is no God but Allah, and the second declaration, bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. So we say it in Arabic, and the first part is Ashhadu, and you can repeat after me.
Okay.
Ashhadu
Ashhadu
Allah
Allah
ilaha
ilaha
illallah.
illallah.
Ashhadu
Ashhadu
anna
anna
Muhammadan
Muhammadan
Rasulullah.
Rasulullah.
I bear witness there is no God but Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger. Alhamdulillah.
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 That's it.
I'm a hug him, even though I know it's COVID and everything. But I'm a hug you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna miss this for nothing, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah, I wasn't gonna miss this for nothing,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you.
If anyone understands the journey, I do. Anyone.
Thank you.
I know it's being recorded, but I have to give a reason for the significance of this when it came to me. While I was in prison, right, it's after a few years of being in there, and I'm still running with the homies inside. I started going to Jummah services in prison. The brothers invited me to come to Jummah. And I had been doing that for a couple of months. Some of the homies didn't care about that. Some of them did. But there was one dude who did not like that because all the Muslims were black. And he felt like, you shouldn't be over there. So they come and get me and they're like, hey, homie such and such wants to talk to you. That's the dude you don't want talking to you. When he summons you, it's like you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, this is not gonna end up. And so we sit down on the yard. He wants to talk to me on the yard. So I guess he wants to check me in front of everybody. So I'm sitting there. He's got his little 4 soldiers standing around us, and he starts off by telling us this history of the gang and Mexican history and all this other stuff. And basically telling me why I can't go to Muslim services because they're all black. So I stop him and I'm like, well, you know I ain't Mexican, right? What you mean you ain't Mexican? And at the time, I mean, you can imagine my hair was slicked back. I didn't have the beard. And they didn't know me as Sajjad Shakur. They knew me by the other name. So what you mean you ain't Mexican? I'm not Mexican. I'm from Pakistan. And, you know, I'm a Muslim. So I'm going to Muslim services. And he's like, he wanted me to not go to Muslim services because everyone in there is black. So I made a conscious decision, whatever happens today, whether they kill me or what, I'm gonna stand on this right here. Whatever happens. And it was a very dangerous situation. You know what I'm talking about? That's a very dangerous
Very well.
that's a very dangerous situation that you're putting yourself in, that you make the wrong decision, your life is over. That's the way they play the game.
Very hostile, by the way.
Yeah, and they don't give you option A, B, or C. It's like you do this or you die. Very simple. I was like, man, this I can't turn back on this, you know. So I'm like, brother, look, those guys are Muslims, right? You're my homeboy. Those guys are my brothers. And you're asking me to make this choice. And I'm not making that choice, man. I'm going to go to services. And I felt like, and I told him, I said, you know, you're not making that same decision for people that go to Christian services. There's blacks in there, right? And you're not telling none of the homies not to go to Christian services, so why are you doing that with us? So anyway, he's like, we're going to discuss this later. The fact that I wasn't Mexican kind of threw him for a loop, and he went and he had to figure out, how am I going to address this guy? You know, because that's his religion, that's his race, right? And anyway, I left, and I'm like, I'm in limbo. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're still going to kill me or not. But I'm like, I'm not going there. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to go to protective custody or nothing. I'm staying here. Well, the Muslims saw him checking me. And they approached.
They don't play, by the way.
They don't play either. The Muslims ain't playing either.
Mm-hmm.
So,
regardless of numbers, they do not care.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they saw him checking me, right? And they came to me and they're like, what was that about? And I'm like, look, it's none of your business. I don't want to get you guys wrapped up in, you know, in this stuff, because it'll cause a lot of problems. So no, I got this, but don't worry about it. Don't get involved in this. I'm a youngster, right? And these guys have been down for years. So they're like, we got this, man, don't worry. They went to him, and they basically told him, look, if anything happens to that youngster, it's on between us. There weren't a lot of Muslims on the yard. A lot of homies on the yard, but not a lot of Muslims on the yard. But the way the Muslims went and approached him, it's like, if anything happens to this brother, because he's choosing to be Muslim, if anything happens to him, it's war. And you don't want to go to war with us, man. And you know what? After that, they left me alone.
Bro.
They left me alone. I stayed on the yard for the next 15-something years.
Wow.
And they were like, they weren't happy. They weren't happy at all. But it's like, this is his religion.
You have to say what you believe in.
Yeah, you have to stand what you... And they appreciated the fact that, you know, I didn't run. I stayed there, and I wasn't playing with it. That was the other thing. I trusted Allah 100%. I'm like, look, I'm making I'm turning my life over to you, but ain't no half-stepping in this. I'm doing this 100%. And man, I'll be honest with you, every decision I made after that, Allah guided me all the way. Even removing the life sentence. Because I had a life sentence. That life sentence came off as a result of the decision to do the right thing.
And you said, Javier, there was a point where you consciously made that decision too, right? Like you had a conversation with God and you said, "Get me out of this, and I will do the right thing."
I did it before I was even sentenced, when they were still wanting to give me attempted murder. I mean, everybody knows what comes with attempted murder. It's a life sentence. And I was scared. I was 22 years old, and I said, my life can't be over already. And I said, if you get me out of this, I swear I'll change. If I make it out of this or not, if I still get the license, I said I'll still dedicate my life to God. And it went away 2 weeks later. They dropped it, and then of course I had to fight it, and then eventually it was a very minimal sentence.
But what did that do for like you when you, after you had that conversation, and like what was your feeling?
So at the time, because I was still young and I was a product of my environment, it wasn't a fast transition. I did change. I obviously had more control of myself, but I was able to just kind of almost like check myself before I did something, which I never did before. Before I was just very spontaneous, very
Just do it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Don't even just think, just do it. It's because that's how I was. That's how I grew up. That's how it was when we grew up. And it wasn't until, oh God, like a year and a half later to where it finally just clicked. I mean, I was always positive, and I was always good, and I was always uplifting and wanting to help people because that's who I am, And I just seen the change. It was about a year and a half to where I seen the change, and I was all in. And then from there, I flew forward, and I didn't get myself involved. But because of where you're at, you have to be involved to a certain extent. And because of what I did and the jobs that I had in there, I had to conduct myself at a higher standard. So not only did I do that for myself, but because of who I was there. And, I changed. And then when I came home, I did the same thing. I was very focused. Because now I feel like I'm behind schedule to where I once was.
You got to catch up.
Yes, because before I was very successful. I was very young in my 20s, making a lot of legit money. I was doing very well with the business I did, and I lost it all. And I figured I was 2 years behind and thousands of dollars behind. So then I just stayed focused like I've always been, and because of God, I've been able to have what I have and do what I do.
So you made the change, but it was gradual.
It was. It
But
took time.
focused. You maintained the focus, but it was a gradual shift. It wasn't like this.
No, it wasn't
thing.
overnight. No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
It took at least a year.
Yeah. And what I would say about that is that, is that coming over here, I was thinking, what advice would I give to a new Muslim? And it's a hadith, a saying of the Prophet that I mention a lot when somebody first becomes Muslim, which is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, peace be upon him, that this deen, this religion of Islam, is strong, is mateen, like it's heavy. It's not a light thing. It's not a light commitment. Yourself, you can drive yourself. Like you could have made that change when you said, God, I'm going to change my life. You could have driven yourself and made those changes like in a week or two. But you knew yourself, and you said, I'm going to stay focused, and I'm going to do this over a period of time, and it took about a year, right? So the Prophet Muhammad was telling us, take your time with this religion. Don't pile everything on yourself at once. Stick to the basics, the basic practice, the basic interaction rules that a Muslim should conduct him or herself with, and then little by little, make that gradual change. So if you ever feel like, this is getting too much, just remember, take it easy. It's a marathon and it's not a sprint.
I agree. There's one thing I would like to share with you, though.
Yes.
So, I'm not an emotional person. I was raised not to be emotional. And because of how I grew up, I really no room for emotions. And I was talking with a brother right here, and halfway through our conversation, I felt emotion for some reason, and I'm not an emotional person. And I spoke with my friend about this, and what was said was that I guess that's a lot, knowing that I want to, or I want to be part of Islam, or I'm not sure how it's
a sign.
Yeah, it's a sign. That's what.
Yeah,
it was a sign
because it wasn't normal for you.
No.
Yeah,
it was very different. And I mean, you can't fake how you feel.
Yeah,
that's just how I felt. And I thought, wow, maybe it is a sign.
And so that's when you started reaching out to the mosques and the masjids to try to find a place?
No, actually this happened right as I was speaking with him.
Oh, okay.
This happened 2 days ago.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, this happened 2 days ago. I've been reaching out for, actually right after COVID started.
Oh, so it's been months as you were reaching out to mosques?
Yeah, I was trying to maybe get something or kind of information before, it was, even worse, And
So how many mosques did you end up contacting before MCC?
maybe a dozen, maybe a little bit
That
more.
doesn't bode well for Sacramento.
I mean, Sacramento, Santa Clara, San Jose. I think there was one in Sunnyvale.
And you were just asking them, like, I just want to take my Shahadah.
I was talking. I just wanted to talk to anybody to get any kind of information because there's only so far you can go online.
And any responses from those dozen masjids?
Some of them, you go to leave a message and the phone just hangs up.
But that didn't
Deter me?
deter you.
Not at all. I'm very focused on what I want and what I want to do, and especially if it's a change, a good change in life. There's nothing that can stop me.
Right. Because you're not doing this for other people. You're not doing it for yourself, and
Absolutely.
so you kept at it.
Absolutely, this is something I want, something I truly want.
Yeah.
Not for anyone else.
Yeah.
This is for me.
Yeah. Well, and what the person that mentioned that maybe that sign of emotion that you had was a sign of sometimes we say tawfiq, success, divine success. Like when God gives you success, tawfiq, everything lines up. Like I didn't know Had Sajjad was going to be here, right? You didn't know you were going to be here.
No, he called me
You weren't planning
yesterday.
to be here.
Or yesterday or day
I didn't know he was going to be here.
Yeah.
No, he called me. Was it yesterday or day before?
Yes.
I'm actually on my way. This is crazy how everything happened. When I leave the restaurant, right, I have to coordinate all kinds of stuff to make sure somebody's going to be there because I got a bunch of kids. They'll burn the place down, man. And so anyway, it takes a lot of coordination. So today I was on my way to Union City because my ex-cellie just got found suitable.
After 25 years.
After 25 years, right? And he got found suitable, so I'm looking for a restaurant out there to purchase for him so he can come out and have his own place. And so I was on my way over there. He calls me and he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be." He told me about you, and he's like, "It's gonna be at like 11 something." I'm like, I was on my way over there to the Bay anyway. I'm gonna rearrange all of that so I can come here. But it's just weird how things lined up because it would have taken me weeks to
The
get.
same way.
Yeah, it would have taken me weeks to get all the people to take care of the restaurant when I'm not there, And so, but today, yeah. So anyway, I wasn't gonna miss this. When he told me, I'm like, oh yeah, that I can delay, but I'm coming here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So it took all kinds of just to back. It's crazy because all the things lined up in ways you can't even imagine, man. My experience in prison was the same way in the sense that when you make the commitment that you're going to trust Allah to handle your affairs, right? And you do the right thing. Now, once you trust in Allah to handle your affairs, and then you reinforce that by doing the right thing yourself. After that, don't even worry about it.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, don't let Allah handle it.
That was the secret. The secret to success. Just those two things.
That was it.
Depend on God, depend on Allah, and do the right thing.
That's all
It's
it
that
was.
simple.
Yeah, very simple.
It's that simple.
Very simple and effortless, and my life hasn't been better.
And both you and Javier and Haj Sajjad, you've never met before this day, but
No.
you've come to the same realization that that's all you need to do for success.
Two simple things, man. You
Absolutely.
gotta trust, though. Ain't no half stepping.
No, you have to be all in.
Ain't no half stepping. You gotta trust. You gotta trust in Allah and just reinforce that with doing the right. The minute that you put a little bit of slick in the game, that's when things go bad. Because that means you're no longer trusting Allah. You're trusting your own smarts. You gotta trust Allah and do the right thing and believe that it's gonna come out right. It's just when I started Falafel Corner, it was with that simple strategy. That simple strategy. I trusted Allah that I was doing it as a service, that it was going to be successful. Did I know I was going to end up with as many stores as I do now? No, I didn't think so. But as long as I stayed true to those two things, alhamdulillah, Allah kept blessing me, man. That's when my homeboys and stuff come through, man. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned something earlier that sometimes people from your past, they might see you 10, 15, 20 years later, and they haven't seen all of these changes and the transitions, that you've made, and that maybe even the people that are really close to you, maybe they get an understanding of it, but somebody who's not close to you is not going to understand it at all. but they're still operating with you the way you were.
That's their point of reference.
Right. And it
Point
made
of
me
reference.
think of, even the process of when a person becomes Muslim and starts developing their Islam, whether they were born Muslim and start developing their Islam, because I have that experience as well. I was born Muslim, but I didn't always practice,
Right.
and so you have to, you start on the path, or you weren't born Muslim, but then you chose Islam, like you did, Javier, and there's going to be other people in your life that they don't see your journey. Right? It might be family, it might be friends, and so you have to have like mercy and compassion with them, but steadfast on your path. Like, this is who I am, but I'm also, I'm recognizing where you are, and there's some things that you might not accept about me, but even in the process of you not accepting, I'm going to be merciful and compassionate.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's the
Be comfortable with who you are and what you want to do, and especially when it comes to Allah, I think it's important to just stay true to yourself and do what you want, regardless of anyone else's opinion or someone might treat you different because of it.
Yeah. So you said be comfortable with who you are. So how do you deal with when somebody else is not comfortable with who you are, but you're comfortable with who you are, or one element of who you are? How do you deal with that?
You know what? I've been blessed by the ability to communicate with people. That's one of my strong points. If someone has an issue, why do you have an issue? What do you think? You can't believe what you see on TV, or ask me any question you like, and come with it with love instead of anger, or even just if you're positive. I've been known to be put with the worst people, and by God, I've been able to change them.
Wow.
Not because I wanted to, because they changed themselves.
But because you just had a conversation with them.
That's it. Sometimes you just gotta love people, and I've also had conversations with people that came up to me and apologized.
Really?
I'm not sure why you're apologizing, because the things I said about you and how I thought about you. I said it's fine, it's okay. I get it all the time, and they're like, well, no, I want to apologize. I feel bad. I said it's okay, it's fine. I said, don't worry about it. I mean, it's all right. It's really no big deal. I said, have a good day, and they change.
There's that old expression, game recognizes game.
Absolutely.
If you're serious, people recognize that, and they may come pick at you and test if you're gonna buckle or not. But if you stay firm on your principles and you stay serious, people have nothing but respect for that, even when they disagree with you. They may disagree with you,
very true,
but they will respect you as a result. That he's serious. He's the same person every time. He doesn't get involved in stuff. And that goes back to number 2, believe it or not, and do the right thing.
Yeah.
That's all you need. I'm telling you, Islam is not complicated, man. For me, Islam is very simple. I don't have to dress a certain way or look a certain way. All I need to do is just believe in Allah and just be a good human being, man. That's it. Islam is that simple.
Well,
and don't let no one tell you otherwise. Sometimes you go to a masjid, man, and they'll be like, brother, you need to do this. Like, bro, I got it.
yeah.
You gotta get some of that.
You got connections, you got Munir's connect,
Let me give you mine.
Shahadah, myself. So, because what he said is true. There's a lot of people that you might go to a mosque or to a community or meet a Muslim, and they're like, oh, well, let me tell you about Islam. But you've already studied a lot. You have the tools to be able to figure out things you got here on your own, right? None of those dozen messages got you here. You got here by yourself with the success from God. He got you here. But if anything ever comes up, just reach out to us. If I heard somebody told me I have to do this, or somebody told me Islam is this, and just say, I have some trusted sources. Just going to double check, and not be swayed. But you don't look like the person that's going to be easily swayed.
I'm very stubborn.
Yeah.
I can't be swayed. I was built different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing.
He's only telling you that because, man, a lot of places you go, like you go to the masjid and people, brother, you need to do this, you need to do that, and sometimes, and they may mean well. They're coming from a good spark in their heart. That's their interpretation, that a person has to look a certain way or act a certain way to be a model Muslim, right? But what they forget is that we're on different levels of evolution in our faith. Some people are up here, some people are down here, and you can't always meet people you want them to be. You have to meet them where they are. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, I get that too. I go to a masjid sometimes, they want me to, brother, you need to do this and that. Like, okay.
Yeah, you just say thank you, and that's it. You
Keep
can't
it
tell
moving.
me.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
What I would
And
do.
keep it moving.
We'll do that right now.
Okay.
Even after that.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. All right. Well, I think we got Munir's got some more. He's got some a gift for you, and he got a
thank you.
meal. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.